Hello there everyone, welcome to another video. In this one, we're going to go through a story from Daniel about whether or not to reach out to an ex and how to essentially respond if she reaches out. So before we start, if you're interested and want to go deeper in getting an ex back, download my free reattraction cheat sheet, link in the description below. But anyway, let's go to the meat and potatoes of today's story, of today's video. So, Daniel writes, I am working in Africa, specifically the Central African Republic, and I get a break every 6 weeks where I saw my ex-girlfriend who lives in Europe. We met when we worked together in Africa, but she moved back to Europe and we were together for 2 years. She lived with me in Africa for about 5 months. I left Europe 4 days ago to come back to work, and after I landed, she called me to break up with me. Ooh, via the phone? That sucks. Saying she's not attracted in the same way and doesn't feel the same anymore and wanted to be alone. So that tells me you probably did something that turned her off. She added, I don't think I can truly be with anyone. Come on, dude. She's getting plowed by other guys right now. I'm telling you. I'm certain she's neither interested or into someone else. Before, she was alone for 11 years and I'm the third guy she ever kissed. Bro, that's just more of a reason that she's gonna go fucking crazy when it comes to dating right now. And you're just trying to make yourself feel better. Like, it's typical copium what you're writing. She was just letting you down gently. Sorry, had to say it, but when she told you, I don't think I can truly be with anyone, it really means, to kind of translate it for you, I don't want to be with you. You're not attractive anymore, not in a physical sense, but also in a physical sense, but in an emotional sense. And I don't like you enough to make time for you. That's essentially what she is communicating, Daniel, when she tells you stuff like that. After the call, I was sent into a panic because when I had left, I had the opposite impression. I was thinking how I wanted to be with her forever. And that's what happens to most people, man. They get so blinded by their own high attraction that they completely ignore the fact or overlook the fact that their ex's attraction is suddenly diminishing. In person, when I left, she looked, as usual, totally devastated and was crying. After she dumped me, when they talked about it over the next day, entirely initiated by me. Bad idea, never initiate contact after you've been dumped. I mean, you gotta give the other person the gift of missing you. You gotta give them what they essentially ask for, which is space. I mean, that's the sole reason they dumped you. As I reflected and kept thinking of things that I had been doing wrong that hadn't occurred to me, when I would go on these holidays, I would not put effort into her. Rather, I just want to relax and break from the very tough work conditions I have. We had not gone on a proper date in an entire year. And while I'm sure she knows I care for her, I wasn't in the romantic partner sense. She's not great at confrontation or communicating her needs and boundaries, so I took everything she said at face value. Okay, you literally broke like one of the classic rules of relationship, of having healthy relationships, and that is, you stopped the courtship. The courtship, I think it was Corey Wayne, another brilliant fucking coach, who said this best, the courtship never ends. When you get into a relationship with a woman, or a man, or whatever, when you get into a relationship, you've gotta take the time to go every few dates, every few weeks, maybe at least once a month, man, to go on a proper date. It's kind of the lifeblood, or at least one of the big contributors to sexual attraction in a relationship. And if you stop doing it, if you stop dating your partner and end up like roommates, you will have a lot of issues. You will start seeing a lot of issues pop up in your relationship, and it's just gonna go downhill. So, everyone watching, if you have a partner, or when you have a partner, or even a date, keep the courtship alive, or you will be fucking sorry. Anyway, let's read further. When she said her sex drive decreased because of an implant she had, I believed it. When she just enjoyed doing things separately, I believed it, though that I think even now is true. When she said she loved me and I was still attracted, I believed it. When she reassured me of these things, I believed it. And when she spoke of the future, I believed it. I believed her especially on the sex part and gave her space there because I thought that was right to do. Sounds to me that when it comes to the sex part, she was just letting you down gently. She was kind of hinting on losing traction for you. And everything else, like, believe her. She did very well. She could very well love you in a certain moment in time, but let's say a day later, she ceased loving you because you acted maybe in a very unattractive way or something like that. That's totally possible, by the way. I had a really tough period over the past 3 months and the past 2 visits I made to her. I was hospitalized with severe illnesses both times, and since the start of COVID, I had been isolated from my family as I'm from Australia, who shut their borders. I was drained and upset at how lonely I felt in Africa, so I leaned on her too much. Well, at least you're aware that you were leaning on her too much. So this tells me you were kind of needy. You're probably one of those boyfriends that just tries to control everything, that tries to cling on to the other person, which, look, we all made that shitty mistake, man. Well, like, I did it plenty of times, ruined a bunch of relationships with that tendency. The point is, awareness is half the battle, so really happy you're aware of your shit, of your emotional baggage. Because that's like the number one thing that you need to do before you can ever overcome it. So then Daniel goes on to write, I was preoccupied by other things and took her for granted. Again, never take your partner for granted. There's going to be hell to pay, as you can see here. Because I really just believed everything she said at face value. So I put even less effort in, and while I was there, I really hurt my back, meaning she had to look after me more than in just the usual emotional way. She said she felt like my mother and didn't want it that way. Obviously, like, I wrote an article a few months ago called something like your ex is not your therapist or your ex is not your mom, and you can easily just change the ex part with a current partner. It's still defined, the same theory applies. No one wants to be like your fucking therapist, like your mom, and take care of you like you're a baby, you know? It just ain't attractive. It's not why people get into a relationship. So yeah, try to avoid becoming like a fucking child to your partner at all costs. Then she agreed 2 days ago at my proposal to not speak to each other for a week and see how she felt after that. Come on, that's a fucking simp move. Just don't speak at all from the dumping on, so from the breakup onward. Don't do that. This is kind of like the equivalent of taking a break. It's such a simp move. It never works out. It's so fucking dumb. Like, you don't... Okay, for everyone watching, don't take breaks. Either break up or try to work things out. That's my advice for you. Breaks are just gonna induce so much fucking drama into your relationship. It's gonna be fucking wild, man. Fucking wild. Anyway, Daniel then writes, I then said to message me when she's ready and I'll do the same. And we can talk when we're both ready. I mean, if that's not locked in the whole 1 week time period, I guess that's fine. I told her all of the above after this honestly really shocked me into reflecting and introspection, and she said that what I was saying reminded her of why she fell in love with me in the first place. Yeah, because you were addressing it. It's what I teach. It's the whole vulnerability shtick. You were addressing your obvious emotional issues in a non-needy way, in a way where it's like imbued in acceptance and that in acknowledgement, essentially, and you probably took responsibility for it. It wasn't like playing the victim. So of course you're gonna end up being more attracted, more attractive to everyone when you do that. Anyway, I said that I wanted to change things, not just for the sake of our relationship, but because I don't want to be like that, and I said I couldn't show these things unless it was in person, and proposed we do a short trip. it would be in 6 weeks' time. And I could show her the new steps I'm taking. Okay, that just screams validation seeking though. Like, it's one thing to acknowledge your faults, your emotional baggage, and there's a whole nother thing to try to prove to your ex that you've changed. It's a bit too far. It shows a bit too much overinvestment, and it usually, like 9 times out of 10, comes across as fucking needy. So she said she wanted the 2 weeks to think about it, so it's a no. But if she had to choose today, she'd say no. Of course, like I said, you're seeking validation. I really believe had I been more observant or her more communicative, we could have corrected these things at the source and moved on. But she also said yesterday that it might be too late. Well, in that case, believe her, cause she's probably already made up her mind. She just finished a job and doesn't know what to do next, and she wants to figure out what she wants to do. That's just her fucking excuse, man. It's not that she needs to figure things out, it's that you're acting like a fucking simp. She has all these false impressions that I want to restrict her. Look, if she feels that way, man, you're probably trying to restrict her. You're just not seeing your own bullshit. But it honestly isn't true at all. I want her to succeed, but I don't think she realizes that. Well, you can want her to succeed and go about it in a really controlling way, which you're probably doing, judging by what you wrote. So, just don't do that. She also often complains that I'm only with her because I find her attractive, which is just not true at all. We really have so much in common, views and vision of the future. And wait, you just told me she doesn't know what to do next, that she just finished her job. She has no real vision of the future, so how can you be sure you have the same one? Come on, you're bullshitting yourself here. And had amazing sex at the start of the relationship. Okay, so at the start. As like most people do, because honeymoon phase exists. I'm ready to adjust myself for my own sake, but I want her back given we align on so much. And I know there's a lot I could do to improve the relationship, including taking myself out of this very difficult work environment and making myself a better person. Look, honorable goals, but like you're clearly trying to force things. On the 4 points of compatibility you've raised, oh, by the way, Daniel is referring to my article on compatibility. You can go check it out on maxjancar.com. I think it's called something like, Are You and Your Ex Compatible, or something like that. Anyway, one of the 4 points of compatibility you've raised, we are very aligned on. Hobbies and preferences, values, chemistry, but to her, my physical attractiveness may have waned of late. No, I think you're just really needy. I think you're just trying to smother her, control her, and that's the problem, not your physical attractiveness. It could also be the case, maybe if you like gain a bunch of weight or something, but like I doubt that's the core issue. But she certainly thinks I'm attractive and I do her. Okay. I guess with the fact we've agreed to the 2 weeks of no contact, although it is not enough time, then why the fuck did you agree to it? Change it. Should I talk to her once she reaches out? Yeah, of course, now that you've already made an agreement, I would change the agreement to like, to tell your ex, like, contact me when you're ready to rekindle things. That would work. Another thing that would work is not ignoring her if she does now reach out in the next 2 weeks. Yeah, of course, you never wanna, in general, ignore your ex. You shouldn't wait until she like sends you like, I know I read some rule on the internet, stupid rule, like wait till your ex sends you 2 consecutive texts or something like that before you reach out. No, you don't want to be an asshole. We don't want to play games. When she reaches out, respond. Do I say something like, I need more time when she reaches out? You could say that. You could say that you need more time to work on yourself. Or you could just try to set up a date and see how that goes. Although if you feel like you haven't done enough self-improvement on yourself, obviously don't do that. I'm just saying it is an option. I am certainly not going to contact her to respect her boundaries. Good. would love to hear your thoughts. So these are basically my thoughts. I think you need to work on your neediness. You need to work on your control freak tendencies, on your smothering tendencies. And when your ex reaches out, I would honestly just be like, try to set a definite date with her. If that doesn't work out, let her go. And if she reaches out again, just rinse, recycle, repeat. Try to set a definite date with her. I talk more about this in my free article on Getting an Ex Back. I talk more about this in a bunch of YouTube videos, and I go really in depth into it in my Radical Reattraction course that you can also buy on my website, maxjancar.com. These are essentially my thoughts on your situation, Daniel. So I hope it helped. I hope you turn your situation around. We'll see. I have a feeling you won't, but I am rooting for you. I really am. For any of you guys watching, if you want to go deeper into Getting an Ex Back, download my free reattraction cheat sheet. The link is going to be down below. The link is going to be like in the comments. You can't miss it. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care.